A person who spreads their attention inevitably loses. Every time you make excuses, every time you engage in someone else's battle, you drain yourself. And for what? Approval, recognition, these are the currencies of the powerless. If you want to be formidable, respected, and unattainable, you must become the center of your own world. This is not selfishness. It is strategy. The weak call it narcissism because they cannot accept those who do not bend to them. But true strength is quiet, focused, and internally concentrated. You do not need permission to turn inward and build your own. You do not need to explain why you are eliminating distractions. The moment you realize that your mind is the only battlefield that matters, life will begin to align in your favor. Focus exclusively on yourself, not out of hatred or resentment, but because you finally see the truth. No one will come to save you, no one will give you power, and no one will feel your pain as you do. Your transformation begins the moment you withdraw your energy from the crowd and direct it toward creation. The more you concentrate inward, the louder your silence becomes, and that silence frightens them. If you are ready to stop the chase and start building, declare it now. I no longer seek attention. I will become the reason they crave it. This is just the beginning. In the first section, we will strip away the mask of distractions disguised as love and loyalty and show how they were created to keep you weak. The first is the illusion of loyalty. How do they catch you with care? They do not need chains to control you. It is enough for them to convince you that they care. This is the most effective trap. False loyalty wrapped in emotional words. They say, I am always here for you. But as soon as your priorities change, watch how quickly they disappear. Observe how swiftly that loyalty vanishes once you stop playing along with their script. What they call friendship often hides dependency. You keep people close because they once made you feel seen. But that feeling comes with a leash. You fear growing because it might hurt them, make them uncomfortable, or provoke their envy. So you shrink yourself. You suppress your ambitions to protect their comfort. This is disloyalty. This is slavery. And this is a psychological war you were never prepared for. Niccolo Machiavelli warned about this centuries ago. The most dangerous people are not always your enemies. Sometimes they are those who are close to you, slowly draining you with a smile. They demand your time, your presence, your emotional energy, and call it love. But the moment you say no, they label it betrayal. This is not love. This is control. And if you do not stop this, you will waste your future. You cannot grow while coddling someone else's ego. You will not be able to rise if you fear being misunderstood. You will certainly not be able to transform into something powerful while dragging along the dead weight of the past. Every second you devote to someone who does not build alongside you takes away from your empire. Your silence is below the standard. It is precision. Let them call it coldness. Let them call it selfishness. You call it strategy. If you are ready to escape emotional slavery and build something real, recognize this. Their loyalty was a cage. My freedom is now ruthless. Destroy the past. If you do not rebirth, you will remain weak. You are no longer who you were 5 years ago. You are not who you were last year. And you are not even who you were this morning. But if you continue to drag along an outdated identity, do not be surprised that the results will be the same. The past lives only because you continue to feed it with your thoughts, your words, your choices. You tell people stories about who you are, but these stories are prisons. They are chains you forged in childhood, out of pain and fear, and you continue to polish them as if they were gold. The world does not hold you back. It is you who does. You keep appearing in the guise that everyone expects. The good guy, the helper, the one who thinks too much, the one who apologizes. This image brings only rejection and disappointment because people already know your script before you even speak. Predictable people, forgettable people, if you want transformation, then disappear. Burn the script. Return to the world with a mask of mystery, a mind full of silence, and eyes that no longer seek approval. Machiavelli did not wait for the world to recognize his worth. He created systems that forced the world to adapt to his power. He knew that transformation is not vanity, but survival. Do you think being consistent makes you reliable? No. It makes you easy to predict, easy to use, easy to eliminate. True power lives in unpredictability, in appearing in a new form so rapidly that your enemies no longer recognize you, and your old image becomes unrecognizable. You do not owe the world explanations. You owe yourself a revolution. Let the weak complain about too frequent changes. Let the familiar plead for the version of you that kept them comfortable. But you evolve in silence. You move in the shadows. You erase your past, not with excuses, but with ruthless actions. When they ask what happened to the old you will respond, "He died when I realized that I was of no use to anyone unless I was beneficial." And this is your key to freedom. Become so useful, so purpose-driven, so quietly dangerous that people feel the change when you enter a room. This is not self-absorption. This is a carefully crafted presence. And this is only possible when you stop clinging to the old identity that you have outgrown. Destroy your past. Bury it deep. Because the person you must become does not need approval. He needs isolation, silence, and a warrior's commitment. Write this now, if you are ready to burn your old identity to the ground. My past does not own me. I create what frightens them. Because from here, we dive deeper into emotional detachment and why the ability to feel nothing at the right moment is the deadliest power you will ever acquire. The third emotional detachment: how to become invulnerable without becoming insensitive. Most people are slaves to their emotions. Anger governs their words. Fear dictates their decisions. Desire focuses their attention. and then they wonder why they are so easily manipulated. The moment someone can predict your reaction, they gain power over you. And when they can evoke an emotion in you, they use it for their own purposes, not yours. You were taught that deep feelings make you human. But no one told you that it also makes you weak if you do not learn to control them. Emotional detachment does not mean you feel nothing. It means you feel, but you choose which emotions serve you and which you discard, like a broken sword on the battlefield. Because when you are emotionally reactive, you do not truly live. You, Maria, are not a puppet. Machiavelli once said, "A wise person should appear merciful, faithful, humane, sincere, and religious, but be internally opposite when necessary." Why? Because the world rewards appearance, not sincerity. Emotional detachment is your armor. When the world demands a reaction from you, to break you, to expose your weaknesses, you remain silent. Because a person who does not flinch when insulted terrifies those who rely on chaos. When someone tries to anger you, it is not personal, it is strategic, testing your self-control. When someone disappears, shows disrespect, or ignores you, it is not betrayal, it is information. And most of you turn this data into suffering. You beg while shutting down. You seek explanations. You spin around things you cannot control. And in doing so, you hand them an emotional knife to cut you again and again. But when you detach, when you stop reacting emotionally and begin to study people like a strategist, you become invulnerable to their games. Insults bounce off you. Flattery becomes meaningless. Manipulations are so obvious that they are laughable. You no longer depend on approval and are not crushed by rejection. You sit at the center of your own gravity, calm, cool, calculating. Emotional detachment allows you to say no without guilt, to walk away without leaving doors open, to burn bridges that only led to places you have outgrown. And most importantly, it gives you space. Space for reflection. Space for recovery. Space to channel all your energy into strength, not into pursuit, not into explanations or appeasement, but into absolute control over your reactions. Do you think being emotional means being real? No. It means being readable, predictable, weak. The most influential men you know, those who dominate the room simply by their presence, are not loud. They are unexpressive. They are silent. And silence, when it becomes an art, transforms into psychological weaponry because it makes the world wonder what you are thinking. And they fear what you are planning. If you want to become invulnerable, you must master the art of emotional detachment, not through insensitivity, but through selectivity. Remaining cool where it matters, calm where it hurts, and focused when others crumble. This is not emptiness. This is evolution. This is the path to becoming a person who cannot be manipulated, because nothing owns you. Not praise, nor rejection, nor pain. Write this down now if you are tired of being emotionally readable. They can affect everyone else. I am unshakable. Fourth, Environmental engineering. How do you rid yourself of everything that weakens you? You think your mindset belongs to you, but it does not. You think your thoughts are personal, but they are programmed. Every sound, every voice, every screen, every room, all of this shapes how you think, what you value, what you pursue. Your environment is not just the place where you live. It is what lives inside you, and if you do not control it, it will control you. Look around. Your so-called comfort zone is a psychological trap designed to make you soft. You sleep in a bed you have not earned. You scroll through images that poison your mind, and you surround yourself with people who distract your attention, calling it normal. There is no war on the street. The war is already inside. The threat is not external. It is your environment, quiet, familiar, and designed for you to remain unnoticed. Niccolò Machiavelli understood deeply that a prince's power lies not only in his will, but also in what he allows around him. Every object, every influence, every connection either contributes to your rise or destroys it. There is nothing neutral. The chair you sit on, the background noise, the friends you tolerate, the clutter on your desk, all of this either sharpens your mind or dulls it. If you want to become invulnerable, then become obsessed, ruthless in constructing your world. Start with silence. Silence is your first tool, because without silence, you cannot hear your own strategy. Then eliminate distractions, one by one. Every useless notification, every weak conversation, every room that reminds you of chaos, laziness, or addiction, remove it, burn it, replace it with space that demands presence. Your room is a reflection of your mind. If it is messy, then so are you. If it is noisy, then so are you. If it is filled with meaningless things and empty entertainment, it is no coincidence. It is a reflection. And until you cleanse this environment, you will remain stagnant. You will continue to feel tired and drained. You will constantly thirst for fulfillment. You will confuse stimulation with strength, and they will laugh, watching you sabotage yourself with your own hands. You think that watching motivational content for 10 minutes will change your life, but your room whispers weakness into your subconscious for 10 hours. Your desk, your wall, your phone, all of it sends signals. Most of them say the same thing. Stay the same. Be passive. Do not change. And if you do not reprogram this battlefield, you will go nowhere. Now let's talk about people. Who do you allow into your energy? Who influences your day? If they are not disciplined, not focused, or not growing, why are they in your circle? You do not need permission to distance yourself. You do not need drama to leave. Just observe their habits, their language, their mindset. And if they reflect your past instead of your future, sever those ties silently. No arguments, no explanations. Strength is not only what you add, it is also what you remove. Remove comfort, remove chaos, remove weak voices. This is how you sharpen your focus. This is how you build a kingdom that no one can touch, because they will not even recognize the terrain in which you operate. And that is the essence of it all. You were never meant to blend in. You were meant to create a world that obeys your commands. So stop apologizing for your isolation. Stop explaining why you disappeared. Stop negotiating with those who live in distraction. You owe them nothing. You owe yourself results. When you enter your room, your energy should rise, not seek. When you open your phone, it should provide clarity, not confusion. This is a sign of a person who understands that the mind is programmable and they are their own programmer. Write this down now. If you are done allowing your environment to dictate your future, I do not adapt to chaos. I create strength, time killer. As seconds become a tangled regret, every second you waste is a betrayal, not to others, but to yourself. You think time is flexible. You think you will have more later. You think that while you are young, time is on your side. But let me tell you the truth that most people will not realize until it is too late. Time is not patient. Time is not kind. Time is a silent executioner. Every hour you spend on the meaningless, scrolling, waiting, reacting, is a blade directed against your potential. You are not born with strength. You are not born with influence. You are not born with an advantage. The only currency you had at birth was time. The only difference between the powerful and the forgotten is how they spent it. That is all. The same 24 hours. Different discipline, the same hours, different obsession. The weak waste time, while the strong invest it. It is better to learn to distinguish this before time makes the decision for you. Niccolò Machiavelli never wrote in haste. He planned, he studied, he maneuvered, because he knew that time is not something to be killed. It can be turned into a weapon. Every minute can be sharp, like a strategy. But you allow it to slip away in group chats, on movie streaming platforms, in empty conversations and mindless scrolling. You call it rest. I call it self-destruction, slow, polite, and completely preventable. Here is the uncomfortable truth. You are not tired. You are distracted. You are not burned out. You lack structure. You are not stuck. You are simply wasting time on people and habits that do nothing for your development. The mind does not grow stronger with age. It becomes lazier without pressure. And the more you indulge in weakness, the more your time becomes a leash rather than a ladder. If you want a better life, if you want discipline, control, and strength, then start tracking your time, like a king watches over his gold. Because every second either builds your throne or someone else's throne. And let me clarify. If you do not control your hours, you do not control your life. And if you do not control your life, then someone else is doing it. Look at your day. Notice how much time is spent reacting rather than designing. You wake up and check your phone before your own thoughts. You scroll while walking. You scroll while breathing. Your time is no longer yours. It belongs to algorithms, advertisements, and digital dopamine. This is not life. This is programming, and you are the product. But here is the good news. Time is indeed relentless. Once you cut out unnecessary tasks, false urgencies, mental clutter, time opens up, like a sharpened sword. You will find hours where others find excuses. You will build while others rest. You will grow while they distract themselves with decay. Because time does not care who you are. It only respects what you do with it. You do not need more hours in the day. You need to eliminate what steals them. This means cutting out people who talk more than they do. This means deleting apps that only bring fog to your mind. This means owning your mornings, protecting your nights, and guarding your schedule like a battlefield. Because that is exactly what it is, and only strategies survive. Discipline is not just motivation, it is elimination. It is subtraction of everything that hinders your rise. Want to wake up early? Go to bed without distractions. Want to develop a skill? Turn off the noise. Want to dominate in silence? Let silence be your standard. Because while they chase recognition, you pursue time. And that is why they will always be behind you. Too late, too noisy, too lost. You do not need to move fast, but you need to move with direction. There is a difference between movement and progress. Meanwhile, there is a difference between being busy and being dangerous. The world is full of busy fools, running in circles, chasing comfort, burning daylight to feel productive. But the one who quietly contemplates plans with clarity and acts without emotion is the one who emerges victorious. And that is the kind of person you are becoming. Not a time manager, not a productivity enthusiast, but a tactician, a strategist who understands that the most brutal manifestation of self-love is to unconditionally reclaim your time. You do not need to explain why you are unavailable. You do not need to feel guilty for turning off your phone. You do not need permission to protect your time as something sacred, because it truly is. If you are tired of allowing your future to die one distraction at a time, declare it right now. My time is a weapon. I will sharpen it for strength, not for people. Because in the next part, we will address one of the darkest truths of Machiavelli. Why excessive help to others is not noble but dangerous, and how self-sacrifice becomes a trap, turning lions into servants. Number 6 is the trap of charity. Why does helping everyone destroy you? You have been taught that being helpful means being good, that sacrificing your time, energy, and attention for others is what gives your life meaning, that to earn respect, you must serve. But here is what you were never told. Most people do not respect generosity, they exploit it. And the more you give, the more invisible you become, because in the real world, usefulness is temporary. And self-sacrifice is the quickest way to become unnecessary. You think being reliable gives you strength, but Machiavelli would only laugh at that, because a person who is always available becomes someone who is never valued. You continue to solve other people's problems, thinking that it builds connection, but in reality, it builds quiet resentment. They accept your help, your advice, your time, and as soon as you say no, they call you selfish. This is dependency disguised as kindness. Look closer. Who wins when you overextend yourself? Who benefits when you put others above yourself? Not you. Because while you are busy helping them achieve their goals, your own remain unattended. While you are clearing their chaos, your life stands still. You have been programmed to think that saying yes is noble. But in the psychology of power, a person who cannot say no is not noble. They are weak, and weakness is always punished. The truth is harsh. The more you help, the more is expected of you. You train them to take. You condition them to drain you. And worst of all, you begin to feel guilty for choosing yourself. That is how deep this trap goes. You lose yourself in their problems. You become a tool in their survival. You turn into a secondary character in your own story. And they do not even notice it. They simply keep asking for more. Niccolo Machiavelli wrote extensively about this dynamic, that rulers must be cautious when offering assistance, because the benefactor becomes a debtor. And those who are helped often begin to take it for granted. This is what happens to you. Every time you intervene to fix something that is not your responsibility, you lower your own status. If you continue to do this, you lose the only thing that creates power: scarcity. Your time should feel precious. Your energy should be earned. Your attention should be rare. This is how value is created, not by being everywhere, not by being everything to everyone, but by making your presence significant. When you do this, people change. They either rise to your standards or fall away, and both outcomes benefit you. Helping people is not a bad thing, but excessive help is a different matter. The difference is as follows. Strength moves with intention. Weakness moves with impulse. You help when it is strategically important, when it serves your mission, when it elevates not only them, but also you. But if you help out of guilt, fear, or a desire to be useful, then you are not helping. You are surrendering. You were not born to babysit chaos. You were not created to fix broken people who refuse to fix themselves. You were created to dominate your world, to surpass your past, to manage your environment. And this requires a level of detachment that the average person cannot even comprehend. You help when it is deserved. You give when it is justified. You walk away without hesitation when it is not. Yes, you want to be feared, admired, respected. Then learn to say no without emotion, without hesitation, without lengthy explanations. You are not here to be loved. You are here to win. And you do not win by giving yourself to others until exhaustion. You win by honing yourself so that your presence alone compels others to change or leave. Your kindness has been taken for softness. Your empathy has been used as leverage, and your time has been stretched as if it meant nothing. But no more. From this moment on, you help only when it strengthens power. You give only when it multiplies the return. You walk with people who carry their own burdens, or you walk alone. Write this down now if you are tired of sacrificing yourself for those who never sacrifice for you. I am not a tool for the distracted. My help is earned, not given away. Number 7 is quiet strength. How to dominate a room without saying a word. Most people think that strength is loud. They think it is in the voice, in the speech, in endless words that try to prove something. But true strength does not try. It does not explain. It does not announce itself. It enters, it observes, and it controls the room before speaking. That is presence. It is not the unspoken pressure of someone who does not chase after approval. It is someone who does not need noise to be noticed. Have you seen this? A person walks in, and suddenly the atmosphere changes. They do not smile. They do not perform. They do not entertain. They are simply there, confident, unflappable, enigmatic. This is not charisma. It is control. Control over their energy, control over their emotions, control over their image. And this control makes the world adapt to them. It is psychological dominance without aggression. This is what you will learn to master. Niccolo Machiavelli understood this better than anyone. The strongest individuals often remain silent because once you start speaking, you risk revealing something important. You expose your thoughts, your position, your fear. But silence is a strategy. It creates tension. Mystery makes others speculate. And when they speculate, you gain power, becoming a question to which they have no answer. Stop filling the space with noise. Stop explaining yourself, even if no one asks. Stop revealing your emotions through facial expressions, fidgeting, or excessive smiling. This is insecurity. Insecurity disguised as friendliness. And the more you do this, the less you become. Presence is created when you say nothing but mean everything. When your body radiates calmness, your face remains inscrutable, and your energy conveys, I do not have to be here. I chose to be here. This is where many fail. They try to be liked, attempt to connect, strive to please, talk, and share too much. Why? Because they fear being misunderstood. But those who fear being misunderstood will never be respected. If you want people to feel something when you enter a room, stop trying to control their opinions. Start controlling your presence. Your energy arrives before your words. Your posture speaks louder than your voice. Your gaze conveys more than entire paragraphs. Your silence screams. When you master silence, you change the dynamic. Others begin to speak to fill the discomfort. They reveal themselves, trying to understand you. This is how you win without confrontation. You allow them to open up while remaining a mirror they cannot decipher. There is nothing more intimidating than a person who remains unshaken, a person who hears an insult but responds with calmness, a person who accepts praise but does not beam like a puppy, a person who stands firm, focused, and serene as if their mind is a single clear line of strategy. Do you think this requires arrogance? No, it requires discipline, deep inner silence, control over your emotions, your impulses, your need to be noticed. Here's the truth. People constantly scan you. They observe how quickly you speak, how often you blink, how frequently you change positions, how needy your energy seems. And most of you scream your insecurity with every breath, because no one taught you how to maintain presence. But now you know, now you understand that presence is maintained, not projected. And this happens only when your inner world is colder, calmer, and more devoted than anything outside. You do not chase attention, you create gravitation. You do not ask for space, you own it without asking. And this does not come from the ego. It comes from mastery, mastery of time, silence, and detachment. And when you establish this, you will see how people will adjust their behavior around you with nervousness and respect, subconsciously. This is true power. It is not so much about what you say, but about what they feel when you are silent. If you are tired of spending your energy on words and are ready to operate without noise, just remember this. My silence speaks louder than their performances, because next we will move on to the final transformation, the relentless discipline of personal interests. Why focus on yourself without guilt? This is the most powerful form of rebellion in our world. The eighth stage, relentless personal interest. Why put yourself first? This is the highest form of power. You have been convinced that thinking about yourself is wrong, that personal interest is selfish, that focusing on your own goals while ignoring the emotional chaos of others makes you a bad person. But let's clarify something. If you keep putting others ahead of yourself, one day you will wake up empty, forgotten, and used. Not because they were evil, but because you allowed it. Because you thought that self-sacrifice would lead to recognition. But it does not. It leads to insignificance. Niccolo Machiavelli did not teach men to be cruel. He taught them clarity. Clarity in matters of power, outcomes, and human nature. And at the core of this clarity lies a law. People will use you as long as you make yourself available. The moment you stop focusing on yourself, they begin to think about what else they can get from you. This is not negativity. This is reality. And if you do not build your life around this truth, you will always be used. You have been taught that selflessness is a virtue, that you should drop everything when others need help, that your life should revolve around being useful to others. But let me ask, what happens when you need support? When you fall, when you go silent, exactly that. You disappear, and the world keeps spinning. No applause, no rescue missions, just silence. That is when most people realize that either you are your own priority, or you are needed by no one. Personal interest does not mean harming others. It means refusing to harm yourself for their pleasure. It means putting your goals, health, discipline, and future above the dramas of attraction and manipulation. because you only have one life, and you are spending it explaining why you finally choose yourself. Stop. You do not need permission to evolve. You need discipline to protect it. Most people want you to remain soft, available, and constantly helping. Why? Because such a version of yourself is beneficial to them. It simplifies their lives. But as soon as you stop correcting their chaos, suddenly you become the villain. Suddenly, you are seen as detached, selfish, and cold. This means you are doing everything right. Because putting yourself first will always offend those who expected you to put yourself last. You cannot build an empire while babysitting others. You cannot conquer anything by explaining every step to those who have never built anything themselves. And you certainly cannot transform if you are emotionally attached to people who fear your independence. Let go of guilt, stop seeking approval, and embrace the singular truth in your heart. If something does not serve your goals, it does not deserve your time. Self-care gives you the strength to say no without argument. It provides you with clarity to choose discomfort now for strength in the future. It allows you to focus and endure solitude because you are building something that requires isolation. And such strength, such concentrated energy makes people uncomfortable because they cannot control it. They cannot attain it. They cannot stop it. Most people want to be loved. You are not one of them. You are not here to be loved. You are here to be remembered. And you do not become memorable by trying to be everything to everyone. You become memorable when you become an unattainable force, unapologetic, undeniable. And this happens only when you focus exclusively on yourself with relentless consistency. Let the world call it selfishness. Let them label it arrogance. Let them misunderstand your silence, your detachment, your boundaries. You are not here to convince them. You are here to win without their approval. Because in the end, strength does not ask for understanding. It simply moves forward, and those who cannot keep up are left behind to complain. So the next time someone tries to distract you, ask yourself, does this benefit me in the long term, or does it distract me from who I am becoming? If it is a distraction, cut it out. If it is an emotional bait, walk away. If it slows you down, you already know the answer. You do not compromise with weakness, you eliminate it. Tell yourself now, if you are tired of sacrificing your strength for temporary peace. I serve no purpose but my own. The final form, when you become a weapon, is that point where everything connects. Silence, detachment, elimination, precision. It is the moment when you stop trying to change and start being changed. Not a better version of your old self. A completely different being. One built on focus. One driven by indifference. One impervious to approval. Untouched by rejection. Unmoved by noise. Are you not?